Well, belonging to this Democratic Party, I was told that I'm speaking. I'm supposed to outline things, but if I digress, that's me. Don't mind that. I did, when I was told I was speaking, I did go to people, you know, who teach you how you speak and what you do and things like how you captivate the audience and that. You do things like this. You roll your eyes and you twiddle there. The only thing about this is, when I take these off, sure, I'm blind. So how do I deliver a lecture or a talk in Braille? But this party has come a long way, a hard struggle. Some of our comrades died, went to prison, and were done hard by the establishment and the reactions in this country. We have to thank Sean Garland, Cathal Goulding, May McGilla, Rita Whelan, Sean O'Kearney, Tom French, Ted Tynan, all those people who believed in the new departure away from nationalism, that all it was about, well, we free Ireland. But after that, what were we going to do? What was going to happen to us, working class people? Yeah, there was no thought about that. Wouldn't it better just go out and, you know, wrap the green flag around the boys and that. I don't think I'm a Republican. I don't think that I'm saying things lightly. But I'm supposed to outline some of the things that we were involved in. The Dublin Housing Action Committee was a big input from, it was Sinn Féin at the time, people like Sean O'Kearney, Marion de Burka, priests like Austin Flannery and Sweetman. It was a broad thing. Mick O'Reilly from the Communist Party, other left-wing organisations all took part. It was a very successful campaign. You have to realise, in those years that I grew up in, housing in Dublin was mainly tenement houses, which were falling asunder, where rack renters came in, bought property very cheaply. They came along and they done certain things, maybe take the lead off the roofs and that, for to drive tenants out and that. And it was very hard. They had their tugs going around, and thankfully we did have people in the Republican movement who took on a few of those tugs, and they became nice boys after that. I remember one fella, Messi Larkin, anybody who grew up in my area, Dominic Street, around those areas, he was just a tug. And he was one of those people who went around doing things to people in the house and that. And now, behold, some years later, I'm watching a Provo parade, and who do I see? Only Messi Larkin. So that's the type of people that were flocking into that organisation. But the type of people flocking into our organisation, which was a very strong organisation, we were engaged in the fish-ins, Sean O'Kearney, and the rights of ways on strands and that, were, you know, in that day and age, even the 60s, that we couldn't go down to a beach because it was privately owned. You couldn't fish in the river because somebody owned it, and it wasn't all, you know, the Duke of Leinster or it was ordinary us people who had the money, the landowners, the kulaks, as I call them. And we did achieve certain things. Then we came up to the 80s, and we formed a trade union group. And anybody in a trade union, it was more or less mandatory that you would have to take part in your union. Because years before that, Republicans didn't bother about that because they were all going to Free Ireland anyway. They didn't bother going in. The working class were left behind. So in the 80s, we went into unions, we organised, and we were the people who brought around the tax marches. I'm not saying other people weren't involved, they were. But it was such a surprise to other people. God, we mustn't have had any informers in those days because we emerged and nobody knew. We hit people like it, I don't know what. They were so surprised that we had our... I was on the Trades Council at the time, and I was in the IPOU, the Irish Post Office Engineering Union. A badge that I would never wear, because on the badge was, what's his name, that told Mary she was going to have a baby, and Saint somebody, or who was he? What's it? The Angel Gabriel, that's who it was. You know, this is a trade union. Jesus Christ. I did carry a poster one time on one of the marches with Lennon, and he's on a phone. So I think I got my own back on that day. So we were mandated. It was in the balance whether we would have all these tax marches and the big thing. It was in the balance, and I don't take any credit for this. I take it because I'm a Workers' Party person and because I was involved. But my General Secretary said to me that we weren't to vote for strikes or the marches or anything like that. But I have this failing. If somebody speaks to me in so many decibels above my ear, I don't know what they said. So Judy, we voted voted for the marches and that. I mean, we brought 350,000 people out in the streets. The campaigns for, as Lorraine and that have come across, proper planning. The peace train, which was a very good and noble thing, and the peace train, when I think about things like that, I think about all these fellow travellers in the trade union movement who supported the provosts, wouldn't give their blood for them though, and where the provosts were blowing up the rail tracks and threatened to kill the drivers and people like that. And these are trade unions. Some of them are well known in the movement. They murdered working class people. Those 10 poor and forces they took out and shot them dead. They murdered 2 of our members in the north. We were just affiliated in that. 2 postmen going around delivering letters because they were going to army barracks and police stations and that. They murdered them for that. I always asked the provosts in my branch of the union, how come they weren't shot? Because we were the telephone side, I was a cable jointer, and if we had a breakdown, you went into a police station, you went into the army barracks, which the provost would say, oh, the Free Staters go in. So why weren't they shot? Because they were doing the same thing as those poor forces in the north were doing, and nothing else, and that's it. And that is the mentality of those people. We had Hands Off Our Mate, which was run by the Congress, sectarianism kills workers. We also won seats all around this country. We had lots of councillors. We had 7 TDs, 1 socialist, and 6 traitors. And when I say about that, I'm talking about north and south, about our councillors and people like that. We had a very active women's group who brought forward most of the things that, I'm not saying concern women, because everything concerns a whole lot of us, whether we're men or women. We're human beings and we deserve to treat one another as human beings. The Workers' Party, the youth group, done tremendous work. Our international support for the struggles of people in Palestine, Frelimo, in Latin America, and all the various countries that were set up by the banana republics, who owned those countries, by the way. The people didn't own them. And supported the communists in Iraq, Syria, which today, when you look around it, what has happened? Somebody told me that I had a small mind, and it was like a goldfish, which only lasts, I've only retention for 6 seconds. But this whole Western world are worse than me, because they only have for 3 seconds. They forget. They armed the Mujahideen when the Russians were in Afghanistan, who were trying to bring about freedom for women, education, all of the progressive things. Okay, you can say, okay, you can differ on that, but that's the way I saw it. And they armed all these people, and then they didn't realise the hand was, or the mouth was coming back to bite them. And look at it today, look at Syria, Libya, all of those, Iraq, all those countries. I have no brief for Saddam Hussein or anything like that, but at least it was a secular society when he was there. They let the Kurds, they encouraged the Kurds to uprise when the Shah was there in Persia. They encouraged the Kurds to fight Saddam. And what did they do then? They buggered off and left the poor old Kurds, like Kobani. Today, they done all this. Am I talking about it? Were we involved in this? But they are all the things. And we took part in all these campaigns and that. But somebody once said to me, if you don't know your history, you can't go forward. And that's true. Because you look at today, the housing problems, people are out in the streets, no work, no nothing. And who's still in control? See? I remember when I was growing up, some people say I've never done that, but there was this saying that, there are 2 things you never talk about, especially when you have a few drinks. That's religion and politics. And when I'm thinking about today, I discovered one thing, that some of it was true. Because when I was growing up, there was about 10 or 11 pubs around us, and every Saturday night, they were kicking the shite out of one another. So they must have been talking about politics and religion. And that's, joking aside, isn't that what they were doing? Trying to control our minds and make us just subservient and say yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir. I mean, people think that 1913 was so far away in that. It wasn't, because I saw a thing on program on Matt Hall. 1 minute. Okay, I won't go into that. The reason why they put me in here is that I was to give us all food for thought, because the next thing is lunch. I do have a skeleton in my cupboard. I will finish on this. I was a member of the Labour Party in the 60s. And the leader, Brendan Cowrish, he was a Catholic before he was a socialist. So there must have been some, and he said, you know, the 70s will be socialists. Well, he may have got some intervention, because I'm in my 70s and I'm still a socialist.
Comrades, we have run a little bit over time, but there is absolutely no way that I could have made any intervention into that, Paddy. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that, because, you know, one of the things that you've said, and that should resonate with us all, is that unless we know our history, we can't move forward. And so I thank you very much for your contribution today. And I'm glad it's lunchtime, because I'm not sure how anybody could follow that contribution.
I did. I ignored the bells out there. I didn't realise it was the Lewis.
So if I can ask people to be back as near to 2:45 as you possibly can. I know that leaves it tight for people, but we really need to get the afternoon session on the way. So I'd like to thank the comrades on the panels from this morning, and thank you all for your attention.